Hey everyone, I'm Cruz and I am currently sailing on semester at sea. We just got back from Vietnam and it was amazing. I had very little expectations going into the country, but whatever I had, it blew them out of the way and I kind of want to go back now. We were there for 11 days, got to go from the very south of Vietnam all the way to the north and see so many different things. It was amazing and I can't suggest it more. But this video is going to be my top 10 tips that I found out and I've asked other people about that they wish they knew before going into Vietnam, or just to basically help them there. What were their favorite things there? This video will be helpful for basically anyone on a semester at sea going there, or anyone who just wants to travel to Vietnam on their own. I can't recommend it more, and I'm excited for when I go back, and so let's just jump into it. Okay, so tip number 1, download Grab. So Grab is an app. It's basically like Uber or Lyft, but for Vietnam. It doesn't work everywhere. It works in like Ho Chi Minh, it works in Hanoi and some of the other big cities, but we didn't have luck with it in Hoi An. But it's really cool because you can do a lot of different things with it. So you can either get a Grab car, so you can be like a 4-person or a 7-person car, go really anywhere in the city or further. You can get a Grab bike, which is really cheap, and so a bike will show up, you just jump in the back and go to where you want to go. And you can also order food on the app and it will be delivered right to you. It's really nice because you don't have to worry about like taxis and giving them cash. You just connect your card to it and you're off to the races. And it also helps with the communication barrier because you don't have to speak to them as much. You can just type in the address where you want to go and they'll know where you want to go. It's also really cheap. The majority of the rides will probably cost less than $4, and if you're sharing that with people, it's usually less than $1 a person to take a Grab. So save the time, download the app now before you get there, and use it as much as you can. Okay, tip 2. Vietnam is a cash run economy. The currency there is dong, and I believe right now it's about 23,000 dong to $1. So not the easiest conversion. But you'll start getting used to it over time. There's a lot of zeros, so just know that in mind. There's no coins, it's all bills. So I believe there's like $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 bill. Just have a lot of cash on you. A lot of places don't take credit cards, and especially if you go to street vendors or you want to haggle or that kind of thing, you will need cash on you. So make sure you have plenty of cash on you. You really don't need to have that much though, because Vietnam is also a very, very cheap country to travel in. Most meals you can get for less than $4 American. Clothing is also very cheap and all the other things. So really, if you just want to have like $500,000 to $1 million on you at a time, that's really all you need, which is only about $20 to $40. So have cash on you. It'll make your life a lot easier. My third tip is learn how to haggle. So this is a very common thing in Vietnam. Almost no matter where you go, unless it's a really established shop, there is room in prices. They're always going to give you a high price first, but never pay the high price. You always want to go less than that. So you have to learn how to haggle. You have to learn how to go back and forth. It can be awkward at first, especially for a lot of Americans who don't typically do that kind of thing, but you'll also be ripped off if you don't. There's an expectation that you're going to do it, so you need to join in with that. There's also a lot of like knockoff items in Vietnam that a lot of people like to buy, and some really high quality ones as well. But you can get them really cheap if you try to bring the price down. For me, I always at least try to cut the price in half, and then I'll try to meet them somewhere in the middle of that. If you go too low, of course, you might insult them and they don't want to do business with you, but usually they're going to want to make a sale, so they're going to work with you. And if you can't get a price that you don't want, just walk away. You'll probably find that same item somewhere else, and usually when you walk away, just in a few minutes later, they'll come find you, chase you down, and pull you back, and then give you what you wanted for that. And also try to make deals. So if you and your friend are buying the same thing, try to get like a discount since you're buying 2 of them, or that kind of thing. There's a lot of deals to be made in Vietnam, and it's a very cheap country if you know how to make the system work. So learn how to haggle, and don't be afraid to ask for a lower price. My 4th tip. This one's fun. Learn how to cross the street. There are very little to no traffic laws in Vietnam. The majority of it are all bikes, but there are cars and buses, and the streets are chaotic. People don't acknowledge stoplights that much or stop signs. Crosswalks are just for decoration. So you kind of just have to cross the street. I will post a video right now showing kind of how chaotic the traffic is and us crossing the street in it. As you can see, it's kind of weird. There's a lot of cars. Basically, all you have to do is you kind of just have to go for it. The cars and bikes should get out of your way if you go. Don't run, don't start and stop. You just kind of have to go, and as you keep going, they'll get out of your way. The only thing that I wouldn't try to get in front of is a bus. Buses don't stop, but bikes and cars, they should, for the most part, go around you. So don't be afraid to just walk out into the middle of traffic. That's how you do it, and that's how locals do it, and they'll know what you're doing. If you try to wait at a crosswalk, you'll never get anywhere in Vietnam, so you kind of have to be bold and go for it. My 5th tip, Vietnam has a lot of great food and a lot of street vendors, so try as much as you can as long as it's safe. But for the most part, pho is one of the best things in Vietnam that I think I tried. You can find it everywhere. Everyone makes it. It's really cheap. Again, it's probably $2 to $4 for a bowl of pho. You can have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. A lot of hotels, they'll have a pho bar to eat breakfast at. It's really good too. So just eat pho. Again, it's with chopsticks and a spoon. There are forks in Vietnam, but it's still a little uncommon. There's also a lot of different types of pho. You can get like seafood pho, you can get chicken pho, you can get beef pho. And so mix it up. You can try a different one every day. They're all going to be really good, and it's going to make the pho back in America or whatever other country you come from seem kind of bad. So try it. It's cheap and good, and you can eat it pretty much every meal of the day. Going off pho, my 6th tip is do a food tour. So the food again in Vietnam is pretty amazing. There's a lot of differences too. The food in the south is completely different than the food in the north. So one of the best ways to experience the food in Vietnam is to do a food tour. They're fairly cheap, and you can do a lot of them with college students who are doing them as a local job and to work in the English. It'll probably be around $20, and they'll take you to 6 or 7 local places, food stands or restaurants, and they'll basically order all the food for you and tell you what you're eating. So it's one of the great things to do in the beginning, like first or second day of Vietnam, because you'll kind of get an introduction to it. And it'll also teach you to recognize some of the more safer places versus some of the more places that might get you sick. But it also teaches you what you really like. We did it our first night in Vietnam, and it was amazing. We had a Vietnamese pancake, and I think that had to be one of my favorite foods I tried there. But I would have never have tried it if I didn't do the food tour, so I can't recommend it more. If you do a food tour like in the Mekong as well, you can try some of the more exotic foods. We ate like snake and crocodile on it, and I don't know if I would eat that by myself, but having a local there going along with me, I felt a little bit safer doing it. So make sure you do that. They're really good, and it's really cheap, so it's a good experience. My 7th tip is go to the Mekong. So when people go to Vietnam, they want to go to the big cities, Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, or Halong Bay, that kind of thing. But the Mekong is in the very south part, especially the delta part. It's kind of a hidden town. It's a big area. It's very, very natural, but it's a place that people don't go to as much. But it's really worth visiting. We went and stayed at a place called the Wind Shack, and it was just a shack on the Mekong River. It was kind of close to Canto. It's a really amazing city. It's a lot quieter. It's nicer than Ho Chi Minh. So if you just want to step back from the city life, go down to the Mekong. You can see a lot of amazing things. The floating markets are there, which you just have to experience. Everyone goes down the middle of the river with their boats and starts selling all like the fruits and the vegetables and whatever else they have. You can also, again, do like food tours there, or you can just do other natural things. It's really, really beautiful, and it's something you just have to experience. So if you're in Vietnam, make sure you go to the Mekong. Number 8. So once you sail the Mekong, you have to do the complete opposite. You have to go to the very north of the country, and you have to see Halong Bay. It's one of the natural wonders of the world, and it's beautiful. There's rocks, like these big rock islands just jutting out of the water everywhere you go. Probably one of the best ways to see it is to do one of the overnight cruises on one of the junk boats. I know it's a junk boat, but it's a lot nicer than it sounds. They're probably like $130 doing overnight, and they'll pick you up from Hanoi and take you back there, and then they'll give you all this amazing food. It's so beautiful. You can go swimming in the water there. It's a little cold. There's jellyfish though, so watch out. They'll take you to caves and do hikes, and really it's so awesome just to see all the natural scenery. So if you have the time, make sure you go to Halong Bay. It's so worth it. Tip number 8, get some clothing made in Vietnam. So yes, Vietnam is known for all their knockoff items and that kind of thing that people like to buy for really cheap, but Vietnam also makes some amazing clothing. Especially the nicer clothing, so like suits or pantsuits or dresses and that kind of thing, even shoes and belts. So make sure you get something made when you're in Vietnam, because again, it's going to be very cheap, but also very nice. The best city in Vietnam for clothing to be made is Hoi An. There's probably hundreds and hundreds of tailor shops in Hoi An, and the best part is you can get something made in probably 1 to 2 days. I went with a friend, we had suits made, and they were ready within 48 hours. It's a really awesome experience. Depending on the shop you can go, you can pay anywhere from like $80 to $200 for a fully custom tailored suit and shirts and all the other things. Depending on the shop again, they'll take you through, like you can pick out your fabrics, you can pick out your style, you can pick out if you want pockets or no pockets or anything like that, and then you can go in for your fittings and they'll custom everything, make sure it fits you perfectly, and then send you on your way with it. It's a really good experience. And then for all the ladies out there, again, you can get a really nice pantsuit made, or you can get a dress made. Dresses only cost about $20 to $30, and they can usually be made in about 5 hours. So if you're in Hoi An, get some clothing. It's not something you want to regret. I think I paid about $220. I'm sorry. I paid about $320 for a full suit, tie, pocket square, 2 dress shirts, and all that would have probably cost me about $900 in the US. So it's worth the investment. If you're there, make sure you get something made. Again, they have other tailors in other cities too, so Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi, you can get stuff made there, but Hoi An is the place to do it if you have the opportunity. My final tip, this is probably one of the most important. There's a very good chance you will get a digestive illness in Vietnam. There is a lot of street food in Vietnam. A lot of it is very tempting, and foreigners just aren't used to that kind of food. So you will probably get sick in some kind of way. So make sure you have some kind of medicine on you. Pepto is very good to take before you go out and start eating things. And then things like Imodium are very good after you get sick, and it will save your life. You're not going to die from stomach illnesses, but if you want to keep enjoying your time, make sure you have some Pepto or Imodium on you. It will just make things a lot easier for you after you get sick. I got sick once in Vietnam after one of the food tours, and my friend got sick another time after one of the other food tours. The food tour is still probably one of my favorite experiences there, but there is always a little bit of a trade-off. So again, just make sure you have that medicine on you, because it will make your life a lot easier. Anyway, so those are my top 10 tips for Vietnam. Again, I can't suggest the country more enough. It's probably one of the hidden highlights of this whole voyage. It was an amazing time, and I couldn't have been happier that we got the extra 5 days there, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to see as much as I did. So if you're thinking about going to Southeast Asia, make sure you hit up Vietnam. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, and I'll do my best to answer them as fast as I can. Again, I don't have much internet out here, but I'll do my best. And if you like this video, make sure to leave it a like, and I'll try to keep doing these for every port. And I hope you consider subscribing. I'll see y'all next time.